It's not only Mr. Shriver's words that should be inspiring to us, but what he's done in his entire life is inspiring to a lot of people. I found that out in this last few weeks, where I find that people notify me and say, well, I'm a Skadden Fellow in the law, in the area of law, and Sargent Shriver served on the committee that reviewed my fellowship and dedicated himself to promoting Skadden Fellows in the law. I found someone tonight who said I was in a Head Start program, and I want to thank Sargent Shriver for starting Head Start. It goes on and on. There are many, many organizations which he has been a central part in establishing, and people are very grateful to Sargent Shriver. And one group, Mr. Shriver, a group of Peace Corps alumni, called me and asked if they might be able to come this evening and sit in Mass and come up here and say thank you to you. And they're here, and they would like to come up and say thank you to you. Peace Corps alumni.
Good evening. My name is Elise Brunt Sheffield, and Dr. Beckley has offered us 3 or 4 minutes to say a few words about something that is very dear to all our hearts up here. I am very, speaking of new worlds, I am very pleased that I was born the year that Mr. Shriver, in concert with many others, brought a dream to reality with the foundation of the Peace Corps in 1961. Now I'm just a babe compared to you, a mere 41. But as I think about that, perhaps for the younger ones here, that does seem a long time. On behalf of everyone up here, I have a few things to say, and usually I'm a teacher and I have plenty to say, but this has given me pause, and I realize the reason is because my years in the Peace Corps in 1985, right out of college in Lesotho, Southern Africa, had such an indelible effect upon me and my life that I was afraid I would not be able to find the words to describe my debt to you personally for who I am today. But I am going to not focus on me, but I would like to tell you a little bit about this rather random sampling of volunteers over the year. I would like to spend about a minute or so telling you about them. Some I know well, some I've just met. Those of you who came early saw how animated we got, even those we had not yet met, as we began swapping our traditional stories, which usually end up in jail, but we won't go there. You might like to know that our time of 2 years in the Peace Corps, we have served, one of us entered the Peace Corps in the 3rd year of its operation in 1964, and some of us served in the 90s. Some of us, many of us, entered as bewildered college graduates having no clue what to do with our lives, myself included. Some of us entered after retiring from a lifetime of service as grandmothers. And some of us probably fell in the middle somewhere in there, some bump in their life. We had the privilege of working all over the world. Many of us worked in Africa. Some of us taught Shakespeare in the mountain kingdom of Lesotho. Some of us built latrines. Some of us did a water windmill work in Mauritania. See, I remembered. Others of us worked with oxen in an innovative agricultural plowing experiment. In Latin America, some of us worked with women in the textile industry. Others of us worked in the Philippines teaching PE. And I've just touched, I know I've left out many people, but that's a sampling of what we did in those 2 years. But what I find particularly interesting, and what I'd like our first director to know about us today, is what we've done since then. And I would hope that you will find us worthy of your great efforts in 1961, in those early years. Some of us were able to take those instrumental time far away from the U.S. to turn it into careers. Up here behind me are people who have worked in the international area, who've worked overseas professionally, who work on this campus with international students, who work, in fact, paid once for Peace Corps. That was quite a parlay there, Tom. Others of us have taken a more subtle route. Some of us have lived in this area for quite a long time. Some of us are quite recently here. Whatever we've done, though, as I think about the people I know and the stories I know about the people I know that there are threads of commonality. Many of us have found ways to connect the world to our personal lives, whether it's adopting the world into our family in a literal way or in a metaphoric way, whether it's helping ESL students in Lexington, Virginia find a home, or whether it's maintaining friendships that we've made many, many years before. Some of us are even going back to visit in just a few months. Those connections go on and on. Others of us have put our energy in other directions, raising families and trying to raise children who see the larger world. Some of us have put our energy into making our community a stronger place, working with Habitat for Humanity, running for public office, losing public office. To be myself. Anne was much more lucky. She was elected onto the school board, wherever you are. Congratulations. Others of us have worked on behalf of schools and more programs and peace rallies, and I could go on and on and on. And some of us just looked at the lives of the friends we've made in other countries and said, enough. We're going to simplify. We're just going to go home and grow good food in our garden and be a good neighbor. Now, you might think that's a lot of diversity, but I tell you, I feel strongly that there is something that unites us all. And it's a very powerful thing. And here I have to speak personally, but I can assume that many up here feel the same way. We share a centrality of experience forged by our years in the Peace Corps that has animated us for years, beyond the two in Benin or Uruguay or Bolivia or wherever we went. It's something that has become more subtle, but it has set our course for our lives, especially those who joined when we were 20 and directionless. I know that is true for me. And so, I do have a present in my pocket, but I first wanted to say we didn't bring you a bouquet of flowers to show our gratitude. We didn't do it. But I have a better bouquet for you. And if these willing volunteers here, I'd like you to consider this the harvest, the bounty of your work so many years ago that allowed each one of us to find the direction toward a larger path of service in life. And that's what we offer you tonight. This harvest of lives still going in that direction. And on a more practical note, the volunteers' most treasured possession. We think you might need it for the next 30 years.
My goodness, thank you.
And thank you.
Guess and find out who guesses right.
The volunteer's best friend. What do you think it is? You gotta join the Peace Corps and find out.
The volunteer's best friend is about to come out of this box. Oh boy. You'll be excited to find out what comes out of this box. Anybody want to make a guess? None of them guess.
There's a guess of malaria pills over here.
I can't get that last one out.